Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Oh man, look at that headline. Nacho, you don't have a headline. Blum, 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 blum. You will never find. Blum, 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 blum. Nacho, you don't have no headline. Blum, blum, blum. And I still got my cool gray at the bottom. Yeah, you looking all right. But check this out. Oh, well, guns ain't really hitting like I want them to. But salute to y'all. This is a pre-record. Y'all come on in this thing. Stephen A. Smith wants to apologize to Kyrie Irving, right? And he's making it seem like he's just discovered and he's a new person. Stephen A., newsflash, you didn't have a freaking choice. Did you hear Fauci? Fauci looked like a fool. You had no other choice but to apologize. There was nothing else you can do. The man got up there and said, no, I plead the fifth. I think like 111 times. Somebody said, y'all don't quote me on this because you know how they like to, when I get the bloviating, they want to quote me on everything. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, get the bloviating. When I get the bloviating, hold on, let me watch it. Let me find something. Let me find this real quick for y'all. I got to find this. This was hilarious when I saw it. Let's see if this is it. Or is it? Y'all bear with me. Nah, y'all ain't got to bear with me. Let me play another video and I'll find it. Y'all should not have to bear with me. Let me start off by taking you down memory lane and letting you see what Stephen A. Smith was saying about Kyrie Irving in several videos. Several videos. I mean, this ain't a one-off. Many of videos. This is Stephen A. And I want to play this under fair use. Under fair use, I want to play this.
He is no heroine. He put himself above the team, which is entirely his right. And it's understandable because we're talking about injecting something into your body, which we all understand. But at the end of the day, that don't make him no damn hero because he's not. He was willing to leave the Brooklyn Nets hanging if necessary, willing to jeopardize their championship hopes if necessary because of his individual isolated choice at the expense of his entire organization. And if that's somebody's definition of a hero, I'll just say it damn sure ain't mine. And that's where I stand with it. And I ain't backing up one bit from that position.
Right, Stephen A. So obviously this rule was ill-written from the start. The execution of it was very odd, very bizarre. And so getting rid of it makes common sense as well as great for the game of the basketball in the NBA. I'm no longer a New York City resident. If I was, I would be scratching my head a little bit about the mayor 2 days ago saying one thing and then 2 days later completely reversing course. It actually was less than that. But, you know, that's what politicians do. So that's fine.
So, Stephen A., you want to call this man all this now, and it gets erased away with an apology. Okay, that's one of the things Stephen A. Smith said. Let's look at another video of what Stephen A. Smith said. And, you know, this is just supposed to go away with an apology. Yeah, it's just nothing, you know?
First round. Kyrie faced a lot of criticism, addressing the season as a whole yesterday with Eddie Gonzalez on the Boardroom's The 𝐬𝐻 podcast. Irving said while New York City's strict vaccine mandate surprised him, and while he understands he let people down, he still believes his refusal to get the vaccine was the right decision. Irving at one point also described himself as a martyr, having suffered for a greater cause. Listen for yourself.
I was not expecting a mandate to be brought down in a way that it wasn't going to allow me to play at all. Like, you know, I had the opportunity to play away games still, but there was no plan in place. There was no vision of like how it's going to work for our team. And I think that really impacted not just me, but a lot of people. So, just had to sit in that hot seat for a little bit and deal with it, man. Life of a martyr, bro.
Now look at Stephen A.'s face. He's just telling you what he went through in the situation. Now, I want y'all to watch what Stephen A says and watch what he does. Never mind. But just watch what he says and does.
Stephen A., what's your reaction to Kyrie in the life of a martyr?
So we just going to ignore Wendy? Now, put me up on the split screen because I want to see Wendy. We just going to ignore that last line, life of a martyr. Molly, sit next to me every day doing the show. When I first went off about Kyrie Irving, what did I say he was looking at himself as? Remember when everybody was going off on me? Oh, come on, Stephen A. Come on. When I sat up there, like he want to act like he a martyr. Remember that?
You did.
Everybody said, oh, Stephen A. Come on, Stephen A. You see what I'm saying? You see, I told y'all. I told y'all. I just keep telling people with it. So you got people that can come, useless individuals that want to call me names and all of that other stuff. Had their entire careers to be relevant, all right? But then they want to try to act like they're relevant now that they ain't playing no more. They know who they are. I ain't going to say their name ain't even worth it, okay?
If I was a betting man and I was the one to take a bet, I would bet that Stephen A was talking about me. He said somebody who wasn't relevant, and when they were in their career and now they're relevant, I think he was trying to refer to me. But I'm not a hit dog, so I'm not going to holler. I don't feel offended because he wear makeup and I don't. Stephen A, you're looking two-tone right now. So, I mean, I don't think you should be talking right now, Idaho potato. But anyway, we're not going to bring light to that. We're going to just keep moving past that because we don't want to do that. We don't want to bash anyone. So, but brother, how do you feel now? Because this didn't age well. You got a lot of apologizing to do because I wasn't just talking about you. I was being honest that it's this man's body, it's his choice. He has an inalienable right to make a decision about his own body. He's a free man. And you had a choice that you made. You didn't have to get this jab in you. You made a choice to keep working. You wasn't in the position or whatever to not make the decision to put your temple above money. If you're a Christian, your body is your temple, right? So you're going to put something that's untested, unproven in your body, and they use your mouth to bloviate, and you put other things in your body, you put this, you put that. That don't have nothing to do with this one thing that you don't know about. And so for you to be a sports analyst, a journalist, that they use you for exactly what I said they use you for. So you try to make it sound like beef. You try to make this thing that I'm doing to you, which is exposing you, that it's beef about basketball. But what you say have real life consequences. I remember you going on camera and saying, I don't trust Kyrie Irving. I wouldn't give him more than a 1-year deal. So you want to erase what you did with I'm sorry, when what you did in real time was affect a man's contract and affect his ability to make money, all because you bloviated other people's talking points. You believe that Fauci was some type of God. Y'all praise this man because that's what you have to do in the party that you serve. Yes, that's what I said, the party that you serve. You had to praise this man. You memorialized this man. You looked up to a man. And lo and behold, this man was wrong. This man was a narcissist. This man is writing in a journal while 1 million people are losing their life. He writing in a journal, going to eat with other people, putting masks on children. Do you know how many kids cannot read well? They have problems communicating. All of these byproducts of not being able to go and meet with their friends, go and talk, go and play sports, learning camaraderie. A lot of things, these developments that you're supposed to have growing up as a kid, they missed out on, all because of Fauci. And you use that information to attack another brother, attack another man. You went at nobody like you went at Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins. And you want us to believe that this is by mistake? It's not.
Instead, I'll go back to Kyrie Irving. We all know all those details. Who was Kyrie Irving the only member of the Brooklyn Nets who was surprised by the mandate? Was he the only member of the Brooklyn Nets who didn't know? And then when New York City slapped the mandate, it threw everybody for a loop? Last time I checked, that was everybody on the Brooklyn Nets. The owner didn't know. The GM John Marks didn't know. Coach Steve Nash didn't know. The players didn't know. But once it happened, everybody had to make a decision. Every single person on the team made the decision. We trying to win it.
Well, Kyrie didn't make that decision to try to win a chip. That's what everybody on the team has an individual decision. That's when groupthink meets individual. And today's world does not like individuals anymore. You call them crazy. You call them selfish. You call them, they think they're the smartest person in the room. They're just individuals. All of what you said was mumbo jumbo. All of that, everybody else didn't know. You didn't know, this person didn't know. He's not required to worry about anybody else's decision when it comes to something that's going to affect his body, his heart, his lungs, his nervous system, his brain. So worrying about what somebody else is doing in that moment, no, it becomes selfish because he has an individual family over here that's affected by the things that he chooses to do. So he has to separate himself from a team, Stephen A., because you're not married, so you don't understand. He's a married man. He has another team over here that he's the head of. He has to be responsible. They're relying on him. So if he has to stop dribbling a basketball so that he can take care of this team over here, you respect that. Every man got the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And no job, no corporation, or nobody should get in the way of that. And you know better. I thought you did, but your 11th grade teacher called you slow and laughed at you for thinking about going to college, per Jason Whitlock. That's what he said. And you didn't contest it, so your silence made it become the truth. And then you said out of your own mouth, your father thought you was the R word. He thought you were slow. So, yeah, imagine a person like you getting in the position that you're in with so much pain and grief and abuse. So now the abused become the abuser. Any chance you get to bloviate about another brother, you do in a very negative way. And maybe that's the way your father talked to you. I don't know. But the way you did this man's salary, the way you took a reputational dig at this man, called this man selfish for thinking about his body, which takes care of his family. You called that decision selfish, putting his body and his mind and his health before teammates because he has a family. That's a shame. You ought to really give him some of that contract you got because you really messed up some of his money. Like Kwame Brown said you did, without all the beef you talking, this is what your job is.
We hate having to do this. They didn't want to do it. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them didn't want to do it, from what I was told. But they made the decision because we trying to win the chip. And the dude responsible for coaxing everybody to come there said, nah, y'all on your own. That's the dude calling himself a martyr.
Nice try. Kyrie Irving was prepared to play basketball in New York City the way he signed the contract, under no duress, under no virus. He was ready to do exactly what he said he was going to do. You guys started a mandate that was not there before he worked and prepared to do his job, which is to play basketball. You guys listened to a weenie dog doctor that made this thing political because he wanted to be famous. And now that you got egg on your face, you want to apologize. But to look at the way that you get used, Stephen A., this is proof positive that sometimes if you don't have anything good to say, you need to just be quiet. Sometimes you need to just, because people are waking up listening to you. And it's unfortunate that you helped ruin Kyrie Irving's reputation. Not on a basketball court because he's an elite player. Now I want y'all to riddle me this. As great as Kyrie Irving is, he still took a hit from Stephen A's mouth. Pause. Now imagine what Stephen A and the way he talks and bloviate. Imagine what it would do to a player that's not a superstar. Imagine what it would do to a player that's just trying to make his way. Imagine how much detrimental he can be to that player's contract, his mental fortitude, and everything going forward. A guy that can't even do what he's talking about, speaking on it in a way where it can take away from another man. That ought to be a freaking crime. A guy like this is controlling a market on how guys get paid. A guy that cannot do the things that he's talking about. And what world are we living in where we got a participation trophy guy with this much power? Amazing. And you were absolutely freaking wrong.
You see what I'm saying? It's like it's just absolutely amazing. Don't you see how relaxed he is? I mean, let's give credit what credit is due. First of all, let me not insult Kyrie Irving. Let me give him props. What a brilliant businessman. I mean, who can pull it off? I mean, it's time that we said, I've been looking at this all wrong. I need to apologize, Wendy. I need to apologize, Molly. It's my bad. I need to apologize because I have missed it. The businessman that me, you, and everybody else, Wendy, aspires to be, Kyrie pulled off. I mean, how many people can get over $30 million a year for doing your job a quarter at a time? For getting off most of the year. You missed 53 games. You got bounced out in the first round. The playoffs are going on now. You home, watch it. Watch it. After refusing to get vaccinated and as a result missing games and all of this other stuff, you see how comfortable that brother looked? I mean, damn, I didn't look that comfortable when I was in the islands for vacation. I mean, this brother's chilling. This brother's chilling. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to apologize to everybody. I mean, damn, rather than hate on the brother because that spectacular talent that he is.
This is him dog whistling to White Zaddy. He's chilling with y'all money. Y'all paying him this much. Take some of that money. He don't got to come to work. He took it way past what it was about. That's not journalism at all. So when Jaylen Brown says he has no journalistic integrity, that wasn't journalism, what y'all just saw. This was a guy bloviating, being loud, bombastic, and stupid for White Zaddy and like giving him the yeah, you right, Stephen A. He making that type of money and he's home. Stephen A could have stood next to him and said, look, this is an unproven vaccination. I understand that in the world today, we're nervous, we're scared, but it's a known thing that you're still getting sick when you get the vaccination. So let's not force people to do something that they can get sick from anyway. Let's focus on the solution instead of demonizing. Let's do that. He could have stood next to Kyrie like he does any other white person. But no, Kyrie has to be demonized. Kyrie has to be made to look like a selfish individual that thinks he's the smartest person in the room. But that ain't the only thing Stephen A said. That's just one of them. Just to go again, because we want to take you down memory lane before the apology. You know, because this is who he vouched for. This is who he vouched for, a guy that once they got him on stage, once they got this guy on stage, this is how he acted, bro. Soon as they got him on stage, this is how Fauci acted.
Now to the astonishing Senate hearing earlier today featuring former Chief U.S. Health Official Anthony Fauci.
Plead the fifth. Plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, 5. Go ahead, ask me a question. You 5. I have a secret document that I think you need to say.
You know, I'm sorry to say, the real thing was even worse. This
backing a motherfucker like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They say, Fauci, what color is the rug on the floor? Under the advice of my attorney, I want to plead the fifth. Fauci, what color is your tie? On the advice of my attorney, I want to goddamn say, Fauci, is that water in your cup? On the advice of my attorney, I want to say, I plead the fifth. It's like, dang, you had a lot to say when you were shutting down the government, ruining businesses, having children not be able to learn, having grandparents dying alone, having husbands separated from their wives separated from their husbands. You was fine going to eat dinner with your buddies. It's weird. But this is what we praise. This is what we praise. So let's get to another one. Stephen A., I got to take him down memory lane, buddy. I can't let you just get away with saying sorry. No. Look at what you said.
situation with Kyrie Irving that everybody needs to address. The bottom line is this. Kyrie Irving, as you said, Max, comes across looking. I'm not going to talk about what he is, because I actually think he's a good guy. I actually think his heart is in the right place. But I think he's immature.
Every time, this is the same old thing with Stephen A. Let me give you a compliment before I destroy you. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good person, but I think he's immature. I think he's lazy. I think he's sorry. I think he's like, wait a minute. How do you think this person is a good guy? And then you name out like the worst characteristics of a person could ever have. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Like, Stephen A., you a weirdo. Real talk.
I'm not going to talk about what he is, because I actually think he's a good guy. I actually think his heart is in the right place. But I think he's immature. I think that he's occasionally selfish. And I think at this particular moment in time, he comes off as a damn snob. He thinks people are beneath him and he's above it. He looks at the media as being inauthentic. That's what he thinks about the media. You know, everything that has happened to Kyrie Irving, that Kyrie Irving has self-inflicted, go back and look at the tapes. Quote him. It's always the media. Always. You got something to say about LeBron? It's the media. You got something to say about your time in Boston? It's the media. You got something to say about wanting to move on? It's the media. You're in Brooklyn. Nobody has thought about you since the spring. You haven't played. The season was halted. You wasn't playing before then. You had shoulder surgery. You come in, and then you're not even participating in the bubble because you're recuperating from your right shoulder. And still, you wanted to sit up there and implement yourself in the proceedings by talking about how the game should not be played. You weren't playing anyway while collecting $33 million. But
look at how he's dog whistling. What did I tell you his job was? To affect the contract. You're not even playing anyway, but you still talking while you collecting $33 million. He's mad that he's talking while collecting money. He has a problem with Kyrie Irving making money. Now, he dog whistled to these people about Kyrie's money that entire time. Now, here's what Stephen A. neglected to tell y'all. Kyrie Irving was like the president or the vice president of the Players Association. So no matter what, if he's playing or not, he speaks on the behalf of the players. This is what his job was. As a part of the Players Association, his job was to find out what the players want and speak on the behalf of the players. But Stephen A. is getting up here every day on ESPN, dog whistling to the media, saying, why is he even talking? He's making a bunch of money and he ain't playing. You ain't playing anyway. Wait a minute, bro. This is his job. This is what his job for the Players Association. What do you mean? But Stephen A. knows this. He knows he's a biased, fake journalist that does whatever white zaddy tell him to do. He knows this. And this is why Jaylen Brown has issues with Stephen A., because Jaylen Brown is intelligent like me. I just ain't go to school. But Jaylen Brown is very intelligent, more so than I am. But he knows how to word it and put it in perspective to where Stephen A. won't even come close to talking to him or me, really. Unless it's in nice guy form where they're not debating. I would like to debate Stephen A. I would like to have a conversation with you for real. I know you're a faker. And it's not cool. Because the way you just spent that whole story is sad. It really is sad that you sit up here on TV and you do this week in, week out, day in, day out. Now, I want y'all to hear it again.
Your right shoulder. And still, you wanted to sit up there and implement yourself in the proceedings by talking about how the game should not be played. You weren't playing anyway while collecting $33 million. But you had something to say. And then when people responded, it's the media. You go on Kevin Durant's podcast and literally state, which we'll get into later, but literally state that, you know what? I mean, you're the first guy that I looked at and I said, hey, I trust you to make the last shot. And the media made up that LeBron might have a problem with that. Damn, you were taking a shot at LeBron. And you go on social media and literally state, hey, well, you know what? If I had something to say about him, I would say your name. Like, how dare us connect the dots and say 1 + 1 = 2? You won a championship with a brother in 2016. Far be it for us to come to the conclusion that, oh my God, you might have been talking about LeBron. Who else did you play with? Jason Tatum? Jaylen Brown? That's who you were talking about? Not LeBron, who you won a chip with? Who happens to be the greatest player in the world for the past decade? In Kyrie's world, it's always us. It's never him. No matter what he says, no matter who.
Can anybody tell me why is this dude yelling to the top of his lungs? Like, this shit is annoying. Golly.
He says it too. No matter what. Hey, Max, you brought up, I tried to stop you from condemning him for talking about how the world was flat. The earth was flat. Okay? Guess what? That was you, Max. That wasn't him, Max. That was you. That was you, Max. It was your fault. It was your fault that Kyrie said that, Max. You put those words into his mouth. You forced him to articulate and disseminate that message to the world. You did that, Max. It's never Kyrie until he sits back, takes a deep breath, pauses, and says, hey, you know what? As I reflect upon these things, I may have made a mistake here or there. You know, I got to be better than that. There's young kids watching as you reflect. But in the moment, one moment, after another moment, after another moment, after another moment, it's always somebody else. So my response in closing is this. If he doesn't speak, fine. We won't miss him. Show up on the court at the Barclays Center.
Devil's advocate.
Put on the show.
Well, that was Kyrie not wanting to speak to the media, and they sent Stephen A. again. How many times they got to send this guy for the same thing over and over again? But he wants to say sorry now one more time. Let's see what Stephen A. had to say on this one.
Everybody has the right to take it. They came to you and you ain't there. And you ain't there. And Marcus brought up a little while ago when he talked about, yeah, you do have a right not to take the vaccine. That's not what this discussion is about. We know everybody has the right to take it or not take it. What we're saying is we might think it's unwise considering the circumstances because, as you pointed out, Molly, lives have been lost, okay? Yeah. And we get that part. Obviously, that's the most important part. But my point is, even with all of that said, you still are now proclaiming, according to the reports, you're not anti-vaccine. So if you're not anti-vaccine, you know what this comes across as? You're just looking for, this is just the latest excuse for you to get off of work until you're ready to come to work. This is the same Kyrie Irving. Listen, let me put it in perspective. We keep forgetting this is important. Before the bubble, he got hurt. Yeah. He was out. Didn't want the Deuce to participate in the bubble as a vice president on the Players Association. They're not a part of it anyway.
Look at how he tried to sneak that in. Because people started calling him out on it. And then he goes, as the vice president of the Players Association. That's the reason why he's speaking, Stephen A. So I'm glad you put that in there so everybody can see you cap. If he's the vice president of the Players Association, that's his job to speak on behalf of the players. So you were wrong on that one. Now let's keep going.
He's gone. So he was gone from playing from March until December. Came back and disappeared for 2 weeks. He needed a break. Who does that? Kyrie does that. Because Kyrie tries to have rules apply to himself that don't apply to anybody else. And anytime you're about that, you don't need to be a part of a team. If he were a boxer, I wouldn't say a word because he's in the ring by himself at the end of the day. This is a basketball team. It's a basketball franchise that he signed up to play for. And to me, he's being selfish.
Marcus, before you jump in here, I just want to highlight what I said earlier, and that's the...
So Kyrie Irving was being selfish because he signed up to play basketball. Where in that contract that he signed up to take a jab in his body, Stephen A. I know I never signed up for that. So, Stephen A., where in the contract that he signed prior to COVID did it say he signed to put something in his body against his will? This is why you got to look away in shame for doing the masses, your white zaddies bidding. This is a shame. And now, here we are, years later, Stephen A. Smith wants to apologize, and we're supposed to just leave it there? After we know what you did to this man?
Because
you want us to just leave it there at that apology. I don't think we can, though, Stephen A.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to do something that I've done in the past, but I haven't had to do but so much in my career. I just feel compelled to do it today. And that's the issue and apology that I owe. A devastating knee injury that kept him out this entire season from playing with the Dallas Mavericks. Probably could have came back early if they were playing for something, but since they weren't playing for much because they were losing. About him, the basketball player. This is about him, the man. The reality is that Kyrie Irving, no matter what we think, may have been more right than we have given him credit for, and unquestionably was more vilified than he deserved.
Don't start speaking French now. We nothing. We gave over here on YouTube, I gave him credit. I was ahead of the curve. You know, your teacher said you were slow. Daddy did too. So maybe it took you 5 years, 4 years, however long, 5 years to learn you were wrong. But it didn't take me that long. I knew he was right. It's his own body. You cannot, you're going to go to the women and say, your body, your choice, when they can unalive something in their body but you won't want to let a man be able to make a decision with his own flesh over a trophy. Material things, a trophy, is more important than his health. Health is wealth. His body is his temple. And he uses his body to take care of his family, feed and nurture and care for his wife and his children. And you wanted him to put a game above that. And you call yourself a journalist. You call yourself a man. And all you want to do is wash that away with an apology? I don't think so.
And ladies and gentlemen, it starts with me. Keep telling y'all before on many, many occasions, I'm a man. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But when it comes to Kyrie Irving, I can't apologize strongly enough. You know, you may be wondering what I'm talking about because you may not be paying but so much attention to politics. I do. I always have and I always will. Not from an aficionado's perspective, but just as a conscientious observer, watching the news, watching these shows, listening to perspectives, reading the newspapers, etc. I pay attention to some degree. Not an expert. But I watched a gentleman by the name of Dr. Anthony Fauci show up on Capitol Hill. Show up on Capitol Hill just this past Wednesday. And Dr. Fauci was up there, and he was testifying. He was appearing before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee because they wanted to know specifically about his knowledge in regards to the coronavirus pandemic and what role he may have played, inadvertently or otherwise, in what ravaged this country and this world for over a year, if not longer. 1.2 million American lives were lost.
That don't matter to Dr. Fauci. Sorry for everyone who lost a loved one during COVID, because Dr. Fauci was worried about who was tweeting about him and worried about which reporter was talking about him in his journal and worried about which celebrity got his bobblehead. Dr. Fauci didn't give a Jiminy Cricket. And that's what's sad. Children suffered. People died alone. All of these things happened. Children had the social distance. Families didn't be able to be close. People are now a little bit jittery around people in public. It's all because of this one man wanted to be famous. And it's sad. It's really sad. And Stephen A. was complicit in trying to ruin a man's career over it.
And while that stuff was going on, we saw Dr. Anthony Fauci essentially protected. We saw him essentially labeled untouchable in terms of questions of scrutiny or anything like that. We saw vaccine mandates and booster mandates and, distancing stipulations and mask mandates and all of this other stuff. And along the way, there were a select few individuals in the world of sports, especially, that stood up and said, nah, I'm not down for this. And it was people like me who were critical of him. In my case, it wasn't about the vaccine itself. It was about the fact that from a societal perspective, if we all got to deal with it, we all got to deal with it.
Hey, you got to get rid of your freaking group ideology. Your group think is stupid, especially when it comes to your personal space in your body. How are you going to group up an individual thing? One needle goes into your arm that doesn't affect me. Guess what? You got it. I didn't. And whatever you did don't affect me. I made an individual personal choice. And it seems like you're either not strong enough, not smart enough, or you just don't understand that you're demonizing people for you trying to take away their rights. Based on the Constitution, nothing that Kyrie Irving or any other American did during that time was wrong. You should not have been able to fire someone for doing something to their body. That set a precedent. I think everybody should get paid their money back. I thought people were getting their lawsuits getting passed because that set a precedent. You cannot do that. You know how easy it is to control people if you just make it to where you could just fire them if they don't do what you say? Hey, when is it going to stop? The bosses can say, have sex with me or I'm going to fire you. No, you're telling people to put things in their bodies that's unproven. That's not cool. So Stephen A., we're not going to let you out of this with no apology. No, give him some of that money back that you always kept talking about. you kept mentioning that he makes $35 million a year. He definitely got a lower contract after that situation. You said that you would not trust him. You attacked his character for a decision that he made for his family. And so that goes past journalism, and that goes to colluding and messing with people's contracts. I don't know. I think you're messing with people's contracts. I think organizations come to you, and you admitting it on camera now. Boston Celtics came to you and tell you about Jalen. These organizations, these GMs are using you to go to bloviate. In my opinion, I don't know this to be true. In my opinion, I think that's what you're doing. And you're spewing out behind the scenes things that lower the values of players. And so they get them at a lower rate. It's not like they want Kyrie out the league, but they get him at a market value rate. It's almost like he's happy to be there. Instead of saying, I'm that mother, he's happy to be there because y'all want to exit him out of the league based on things you say, Stephen A. So listen, that's my time. Stephen A., we're not hearing that crap. You bloviate somewhere else. Learn how to do what you're talking about before you talk about it in a way that you're talking about. Stop conflating the conversation and making it about selfish, making it about your personal BS, and keep it on the facts. Facts is he have a right to say yes to something that goes in his body. He has a right to say no. End the story. I'm up out of this thing. I'm gone.